The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Twitter Your Way to Business Success, brought to you in conjunction with the Queensland Department of DD and the Creative Collective. Despite what you may see on your screen, my name is Zoe Wyatt and I'm the Social Media Specialist for the Creative Collective. For today's presentation, we'll be working on a webinar platform and we strongly encourage you to interact during the presentation. You'll see you have the option to be raising your hand during the presentation and then also interacting on the screen by way of text chatting into the screen for us. So I encourage you to do that because really the more you participate in today's section, the greater amount you're going to get out of the session, and we really want you to benefit rather than just supplying you with information. As with any seminar, the more you participate, the more you'll get out of it. So what are we covering? First, we're going to start with some Twitter stats and facts, what other businesses are doing on Twitter, and really how you get started on Twitter. There's a lot of noise on Twitter, and I'm going to help you cut through some of that. We're going to look at selecting an appropriate Twitter name if you're not already set up on Twitter, or if you are registered on Twitter, then maybe you may be looking at starting a secondary account for your business or starting one in a more professional manner. For those of you that are on Twitter already, I encourage you to be using the Twitter hashtag QLDBIZ, QLDBIZ, throughout today's presentation. And for those of you not yet on Twitter, during the presentation I will explain what that means in plain English and encourage you to be using it during the presentation to network as well. Move on to it. So with that in mind, I'd like to ask which participants are already using Twitter. If you could just raise your hands for me, the function in the control panel on the webinar platform. So I can get an idea of the level of experience we already have on the call and tailor this training to maximize your experience. Pop me while I check your hand raising. So there's a few there. A lot of you not yet using Twitter at all. Okay, fantastic. I'd say we've got about a third of you that are on Twitter already. So we really are going to look at some of the basics of getting you started the right way. For those of you that are already using Twitter, I'm going to show you how to maximize it and connect with people. I'm also going to show you all how to find people to follow and why it's really important to identify some key influencers in your market and how to put your Twitter marketing really on steroids. I will tell you that Twitter is my favorite platform and it's one of the first social media marketing methods that I used. I've been using social media since early 2008. I actually started in video marketing, and while doing some training with a guru from America on YouTube marketing that I was introduced to Twitter. Now at the time I thought, wow, you know, that's great for teenagers, but what can it do for my business? I saw a lot of noise about what was happening now, and I've learned to cut through that. I now have a Twitter following in excess of 60,000 people over several different Twitter accounts, and I'll show you why I've done that. I also have 100,000 views on my YouTube channel, along with thousands and thousands of friends and likes across Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Google+, and you name it, pretty well I'm on it. The most important thing for all of you to get from that is that I walk my walk and talk my talk. I have built my entire business by using social media marketing, and what I'm training you on today is what I use in my own business each and every day to maximize my results with social media. The very nature of this call and the fact that I'm working with the Creative Collective was born out of Twitter. A vet actually found me on Twitter initially to do a training for them. And she went looking for Twitter followers, most followers in Queensland, I believe, to find that. From there, we've actually created a very profitable business relationship. Okay, so what is Twitter? Twitter is a social networking site combined with microblogging. So basically, think of it as like text messaging on the internet. You only have 140 characters in your messages or less, and it's really about what's happening right now. Twitter has been used extensively in disaster relief efforts and things like that to let people know what's happening. It originated in 2006, so it certainly wasn't the first social network to be created. In fact, it's the most recent of what people would consider the big four in Facebook and LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter as well. So it's had a phenomenal amount of growth. And for business, there's a lot of businesses that haven't yet caught on to the benefits of Twitter. So that can be a massive advantage for all of you that are on the call right now. Okay, so I've had a few questions coming through and I encourage people to pop those questions in. where do you get the time for all of the social media accounts? Fred, I'm going to show you today how to be really time efficient with not just your Twitter marketing, but all of your social media marketing. I'll admit I spend a little more time than most because my business is social media marketing, but I do need to make sure that I'm spending time on the areas of my business that create the greatest amount of income and not just spending all day, every day on social media. So we'll definitely cover that for you. So on to Twitter itself. Twitter now has over 200 million users. Of those, 100 million are active users every single month, and half of those log on daily, so 50 million users a day. Of those 200 million registered users, there are 1.8 million in Australia. So it's a small percentage, I guess, of the overall world total, but you look, it's nearly 10% of our population. It has had good penetration in terms of user numbers in Australia. Twitter.com received about 400 million visitors a month on average last year, and its growth was up 60% for the year. And they're predicting another 25 to 30% growth this year. So the growth just keeps going. It's interesting for me that 40% of Twitter users don't actually tweet every month, but are there what they call lurking, watching other people tweet. Okay, so on to some Twitter facts, and specifically the ones for us here in Australia. Of those 1.8 million users in Australia, surprisingly for most people, the largest demographic is in the 30 to 49-year-olds. That is followed closely by the 18 to 29-year-olds. So just by a show of hands, pop all your hands down from previously, show of hands, who has their target demographic is in that 30 to 49-year-olds? Or in the 18 to 29-year-olds, if we're covering that demographic? Lots of you. Lots of you, lots of you. And if you see too, the 50 to 64-year-olds is fast progressing as well. I think there's a perception that Twitter is just for teenagers, and as a mother of 5 teenagers, I can tell you that they don't turn on to Twitter generally until they're late teens, when they're starting to care about the world around them and what's happening right now. That's interesting. That's 2/3 of you have got. So therefore, if your target audience is using Twitter, then it's a place that you should be marketing your messages in order to get in front of them. Thank you for that. It's also interesting to note that 43% of Twitter users follow a brand or a business on Twitter for special offers or deals. So your clients that are on Twitter are looking to your brand to give them something special for your interactions on Twitter. We'll talk about maximizing Twitter later in the training, but keep that in mind. If 43% are sitting there going, I want to connect with you on Twitter because I get something different by using this platform, it's important that what you're doing is not just copying your messages from the other social media networks, but giving those clients and potential clients something special from their Twitter interactions with you. Okay, in terms of what's happening right now, this stat here, the 55% of users are accessing Twitter via a mobile platform. And this is where Twitter really has seen massive growth and its strength. These are some stats from a company called Retrievo. In the bottom right-hand corner there, you can see their whole study on their site. This one asks you check, update Twitter or Facebook first thing in the morning. And the green is under age 25, the blue is over age 25 users, and interestingly the yellow or gold on your screen is iPhone users, so specifically looking at that one type of smartphone that they're using. And you can see here that it tends to be, this is before I get out of bed in the morning, younger demographic. Yes, before I turn on the television. So this is the way that people are first interacting with outside media, and it's even across the 2 age groups, but massively increased on the iPhones. And importantly, this is how I get my morning news. And certainly for me, that is how I get all of my news. I don't watch network news anymore because to me it's outdated news. I've already heard what's happening in the world as it's happening because I'm connected through the tweet stream. In things like the Christchurch earthquake, the Queensland floods, the Japanese tsunami, people were tweeting from the scene actual reports while the tragedies were unfolding, but we also could prove the validity of those reports by talking to people live, if you like, tweeting from the scene. And though that has shown a huge amount of growth in Twitter, for businesses, obviously, we're looking at using Twitter slightly differently. Yes, Twitter can be great for tweeting from live events while we're on a webinar like this one, perhaps to create the buzz around your events, to get conversations going on, to have support in the background. But also, too, you can be using Twitter to develop and promote your brand, to interact with your customer base, track what people are saying about your customer base. In fact, can anyone just having a look at the bubble points that are on the screen there, just pop your hand up if you can see something there that you could use Twitter for in your business. Or perhaps type into chat if there's some other reason that you'd like to use Twitter for your business or are currently using Twitter for your business. I'd love to share that with everybody as well. For me, Twitter is also a fantastic way to get higher search engine results. Twitter and Twitter comments rank very, very well in Google and all of the major search engines, and to get found by people not just searching for your products and services, but for you and positioning you as a leader in your industry. Again, that's how this relationship and the job and joint ventures that I'm doing with the Creative Collective came about. So there's a few questions there on statistics. Were they Aussie demographics or global demographics? The specific ones in Retrievo were global demographics for your making, but the previous slide were all on Australian ones. Catherine, you're using it to lead people back to your website. Yes, I see Twitter really as a touch point. I like to use the expression of throwing the cast net after bait, and you kind of drag the potential clients and leads back to a property you own, back to your website, back to your other social media sites like Facebook, etc. As a local government, Beth, you're using Twitter to reach a wider demographic in the community. Yeah, and potentially, you know, friends of friends and people who know friends. Do we use Twitter? Do we use our brand name for Twitter? Robert, we're going to get onto that in a moment, whether you actually position yourself or your business in Twitter as well. Okay, fantastic. So let's get straight into that. Now, for those of you that Twitter is brand new to, I don't want to blow you out of the water completely. I want to really inspire you to get started with Twitter. So this webinar is being recorded, and both the webinar recording and the slides will be provided in the coming weeks for you to go back over and review. So if you're brand new to Twitter, rather than race off and try and do these things as I'm speaking, I encourage you to be watching the screen. For those of you established in Twitter, by all means log in and let's start using those hashtags. But when you first start to Twitter, simple enough, go to twitter.com. What I recommend you do is, rather than trying to put your full name or username on the front page, click the yellow button here where it says sign up for Twitter, and it will take you through to this larger page here, and it will allow you to play around with your username. Now, there's two parts to your Twitter handle here. Your username is your Twitter profile name, if you like, and then your real name is generally your name. Now, if you're branding on your business, your username should be as close as possible to what people are searching for on your business name. When you come to enter your real name, you can still choose to enter a business name if you wish, or it may be an individual that's very important within the business. So I could use social media shortcut, and I could either have put Zoe Wyatt within the business, or I simply put Zoe at social media shortcut. The big proviso here is you only have 15 characters for your username and 20 characters for your real name. So in my case, we'll talk about branding going forward, but I initially branded on my personal name, and I used Z DeLuca, Z-D-E-L-U-C-A. Now, the big challenge I've now come up against is I've recently married. My surname has changed. I have another number of business entities. So I'm actually going through a complete rebranding exercise now. And I have one Twitter profile on my personal name. I have another Twitter profile for each of my business names because I have multiple businesses, and I'm finding that the interactions that I have on each, are different, okay? So the fantastic thing with Twitter is I'm actually allowed to have as many Twitter profiles as I like at this stage. So what I encourage you to do, if you're not really sure at the moment, is to go and claim a Twitter profile for your business name, for your personal name, and for any other sort of inclinations of that. Because what you can do is, as I'm going to be doing with the Z DeLuca, I'm going to change that name, but I'm going to keep a Z DeLuca profile and simply have written on the top, if you're looking for Zoe DeLuca, she's now Zoe Wyatt, and you'll find her over here at my new Twitter handle. And keep people connected and not have people jumping on and using my name for marketing. The US office does the same. That's great. B2B business opportunities, business to consumer tends to come from Facebook for you making. Yeah, Yeah, I do find that as well, although in terms of events and promoting events, very much on Twitter for me, very, very much on Twitter. And we'll look at the ways your business can benefit and how you craft your messages differently for those different markets. How do you connect? I've got a question here from Sue Ann on how do you connect individual staff members' Twitter accounts to the business account. You don't really connect them up in Twitter, but I'm going to show you a tool at the end where you can monitor what's going on. What you'll find is a lot of organisations have done is they've allowed individual staff members, as we have at the Creative Collective, to have their own Twitter profiles, but then we make it abundantly clear if they're working on Twitter as part of the organisation or not. A lot of media outlets do this, so they'll have the individual reporter using Twitter in their name, but in their biography they have that the ideas or views expressed are my own and not that of my employer. Whereas someone like Dell, they have a number of key employees at Dell written in their Twitter profile. And to let you all know too, there will be an extra 10 minutes at the end for other questions, but I'm happy to keep taking questions as we go through as well. So let's get to the language of Twitter. Now, Twitter has a language all to itself, and it's probably the greatest hurdle for most people in starting to use the program. The interface has recently changed to make it a little clearer when you're interacting on the site. They give you a home page, which is a newsfeed, very much like Facebook if you're using that already. Connect is the @ symbol. So again, the same way you would tag people, think of the @ symbol as who you're connecting to, who's speaking at you, about you, who's mentioning your name. So if you have the @ mention or an @ reply, it simply means the @ symbol followed by the username. So in this case, it's at Creative Collect, and we could be saying, I'm talking to you, about you, or replying to a comment that you've made. In terms of the hash key, that's now been linked under Discover. And the hash key is for talking about a general topic or interest area that people are sharing. So it may be people sharing similar tweets to you, it may be people in the same industry, or as I've recommended today, the hashtag for these webinars is QLDBIZ, Queensland Biz. So everybody looking at Queensland Biz and growing Queensland Biz, not just necessarily on this webinar, although it's a powerful tool for that, but we can be supporting each other in growing the Queensland Biz and using that tool every time I'm putting out some sort of information that will benefit other Queensland businesses in growing, accessing training, or improving their bottom line. I got an interesting question from Fed here. Can you buy a name that is in use by someone else? It's actually against Twitter's terms and conditions to pay for usernames. I have heard of instances where people have relinquished Twitter names. They've actually signed them over to other people. If there was money changing hands for that, then Twitter certainly don't want to know about it. I will tell you that, Fred, but I have heard it occurring. They really discourage that because there was a lot of people just what they call profile squatting, so going and buying, not buying, but securing a huge number of Twitter profiles. That's why there's 200 million users and only 100 million active ones, because a lot of people, I believe, have profiles that they're kind of just sitting on at the moment. If anybody is infringing your copyright or your trademark issue, then you can apply to Twitter to have those released, and they will take them off the other people. Okay, great question from Eve here. She said on the hashtag.
Welcome to GoToWebinar, Web Events Made Easy.
Okay, that should have me back out there. Yeah, it came up with new device. I don't know, I was going yes or no. I've gone in, done that speaker setting thing. That should have me back again. Okay, again, no audio, back on again. Can you hear me again? Okay, sorry about that, guys. Something interfered with the audio. The joys of modern technology. Let's push ahead. Okay, so I was saying with the hashtag, great question from Eve there in terms of QLD biz. Does it need to be capital QLD, BIZ, or the upper and lower case? Does it make a difference? No, it definitely does not make a difference. But you'll see that when I use the QLD in capital letters, it does pop a whole lot more. So I recommend when you set up your hashtags, you use upper and lower case. And encourage people to use that, but your hashtags will be picked up the same way, upper or lower case. It won't make any difference. Exactly the same with your Twitter profile names as well, your Twitter usernames. You could have, for me, I have social media S-cut because it wouldn't fit, so that I put the first letter of each of those words in uppercase, just so it pops from the page a little bit more as well. And with QLD being the standard in uppercase, we certainly would be encouraging QLD in uppercase, but it doesn't matter. The last one here is a special one, hashtag FF, stands for Follow Friday. And hashtag Follow Friday simply means on Friday, everyone gets out and they make recommendations of great people to follow. Now I hear you always say, what's follow? Okay, so on Facebook, we have friends or we have likes. On Twitter, you have following and followers. It's super simple. The people you are following are the people that you've chosen to read their tweets. And you tick a little box to say, I want to follow them. The followers are the people that have chosen to read your tweets or what you're tweeting about by ticking a little follow button. So following are the ones you choose to follow. Followers are the ones that have chosen to follow you. Okay, pure and simple. So following and followers. If you are both following a person and they are your follower, they're following you back, then it becomes a reciprocal follow and you can send each other direct messages. It's like both being friends on Facebook, if you like. They're reading your tweets, you're reading theirs, and you can go and have DMs or direct messages privately on Facebook. Now, if you have a hashtag FF or hashtag Follow Friday, on Friday I will recommend with a hashtag FF, great people to follow. I don't suggest you just do a list of Twitter handles, so at the Twitter usernames, but that rather you give that a context. So thank you for interacting with me this week. Great people provide information on social media. Fantastic to have these people on hashtag QLDBIZ webinars this week, and you could hashtag Follow Friday them. Why would you do that? Because social media is inherently just that, social. So any interaction or action that you would like others to take, you need to be doing those yourself first. So if you're saying to people, these are fantastic people to follow and I recommend that you do, you listen to what they're saying on Twitter, then it's more likely that people will do that for you. So whatever action you want people to take, first of all, do it yourself. If you want to recommend people, share great content, give them a Follow Friday recommendation, or simply thank them for following you or posting something that you've already posted. The last one there is this one here in retweet, which is RT, and it simply means to retweet or repost something that somebody else has written. It's a uniquely, I believe, Twitter phenomenon. It's actually encouraged to directly pick up somebody else's post and retweet it and spread it to your audience. It gives the post more life, but it also says to that individual, I'm listening to what you're saying and I find it of value. It's probably the greatest compliment someone can give you on Twitter is to retweet your post. And while I don't thank people for every single retweet, I certainly do selectively. If you think I've got over 50,000 on my personal Twitter account, I can't be thanking every single person that retweets me, but I do look more heavily at their accounts and decide whether or not I can be assisting them in growing their business as well. So now we've got some of those basics down, let's get into it. How do you actually leverage Twitter for business, not just chatting? Okay, I'm sure you want to hear that. First of all, foremost, you've got to set up your profile really professionally. I'm going to show you how to do that. You've got to actually establish your follower base or your tribe. Basically, in Twitter language, anything you put TW on the front of becomes a Twitter word. We're then going to look at delivering quality contents, which are called tweets, and then move into engagement, interaction, and connection. How do you build that community? How do you get conversations going? And how do you cut through the noise? Eve's just said like sharing on Facebook. That's right. Twitter is really, the retweet is really like sharing on Facebook, and it's super easy to do. But also it's really, really strongly encouraged on Twitter. You get thanked for it a lot. And then we're going to finish off with management, integrating automation and transitioning the leads from Twitter back to your business and back to a property your own. And that's a step I see a lot of people missing on Twitter as well. Now, I've already spoken a little about choosing your Twitter handle or username very carefully. A great site I have for you on the screen here, if you're looking at just starting your Twitter or you're branding or rebranding, as I am, I encourage you to go to this website. It's www.namecheck.com, but be careful, it's NAMECHK.com, CHK.com. That's not a typing mistake, that's really the website. And this will show you the availability of names across hundreds of social media sites. It will even tell you if the .com website address is available. A word of warning on this one, a little bit of caution. It won't tell you if it's suitable for use on the site. It only tells you if the name is available. So if I had tried to put in a social media shortcut into the name check, it would tell me that username is available on Twitter, whereas I know it's more than 15 characters. So it's not perfect, but it's a fantastic site, and try and get the same name and the same branding consistently across all of your social media sites. So the same as, twitter.com/your name should be facebook.com/your page name, and it's closely mirrored to your website address and your email address as possible. Think of how it's going to look on offline promotions such as flyers and business cards. Stay away from numbers, they look spammy unless that's part of your brand, and stay away from underscores, dots and dashes, and you can't have any spaces in them. By setting up your Twitter account, for those of you that are already on Twitter, just pop your hand up for me if you have more than one profile. So if you're running a personal profile one, or if you're running a business one. Okay, there's a couple of you, so we've got a few more advanced users there as well. Fantastic. So some of you may want to go back through and do this, but this is a great way to separate your business and your personal use on Twitter as well. So do you know that you can actually change the design and customize your whole Twitter background? This is a really powerful part to Twitter. And for those of you that are already on Twitter, I'll just pop your hands down again. Can you pop your hands up for me if you've gone in and customized your Twitter account? So you've got your own branding, your own background, maybe changed the colors or done some of that work? Okay, very few of you. In fact, only a handful. Okay, this is vitally important. If you go have a look at Twitter profiles, by most of you are going to get that nice sort of clouds and sea look and the blue Twitter background. But you can actually customize, you can see with the Creative Collective one here, way more than just a great profile photo, which we've used our logo, and I do recommend that if it's a business account. You can pick a design for not just uploading a beautiful background, but you can customize the font colors, the link colors, and really get that very close to your overall branding for your website. Because although people are coming to a Twitter site, you still want to make them feel really comfortable that they're in the right place. So when you get to the Creative Collectives page, it may be Creative Collect at the top, but we've branded it with all of our colors. It's orange, it's familiar, and you feel very comfortable that you're in the right place and connecting with the right organization. Now to do that, it's up in the right-hand corner of the navigation bar. Up here on the little down arrow, you'll find Account Settings. Click on, when it comes up, Profile into Design here, and then you can pick from a theme, you can upload your own, you can play with the customizations in colors. Fairly self-explanatory once you find where it is, and everything in terms of your account settings is up under this little down arrow, Account Settings, and you can play with the profile, the words, the design, really make this look professional. Once you have your account set up the way that you want it to look, it's then important to who you start connecting with. Now I did have a question before, is how do you actually follow on? Fred, you've got 2 business, 1. Ray said you have to go. That's great, Ray. We will have the recording for you as well, and pop any questions in before you go if you'd like to do that. Okay, Eve, you're saying that you've realised your Twitter account is a real mismatch between your personal and your business account. So what I recommend you do is you set up a new business account, and this is exactly what I'm doing right now, moving off my personal branding into a business account, and I speak on my business account a lot more promotionally. It's about my business, social media training, things like that. On my personal account, while I still share tips for social media training, I'm more open in my dialogue. I'm more relaxed. I will for instance, I sent a tweet the other day to the Queensland Police Media Unit while I was sitting in a traffic jam asking them how long it was going to take to clear, etc. I don't want that sort of conversational twittering on my business account so much. I don't think it looks so professional. So I'm separating the two, even though I'm very much my brand. So when you come in here and start looking at who I can follow, I would suggest first and foremost that you actually put 10 posts, about 10 tweets on your page before you start following people. The reason for that is you don't want people coming across and looking at your page and going, oh, she hasn't done anything yet, or they haven't done anything yet. Why would I want to follow them? If you're not offering value, why would people want to follow what you're saying? Okay. When you're ready to start following, come in here, log into your Twitter account. Up the top, you'll see a spot called Discover. And it will help you go through. There's a number of ways. You can either go into Discover and it will show you stories and activity closely related to what you're tweeting about. It will also give you an area you can pop on one of these and go across to an individual Twitter's account. Now I will say here, the Twitter search function, which is the search bar at the top of your account, you can see with a little magnifying glass, is a good place to look for a Twitter username. So if you know the exact username, the example I've used here and encourage you to look at is businessqld.gov, G-O-V. So businessqld.gov, and that's for the Department of Employment, Economic Development and Innovation, the DD. They're holding the webinars today. So go across and look at what DD are doing and Business Queensland Gov are doing, because not only have they got great tweets and great information going out, but a lot of people that are interacting with them may be appropriate for you to either build a network with or to be promoting to. I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment. So if you know the exact name, the Twitter search is great. If you don't know the exact name, I recommend that you go across to trusty old Google, put in your best guess. So I'm looking for Queensland Business Government webinars on Twitter, and put in the on Twitter in your search, and then you can look for the search results to the ones that actually come up at twitter.com. Once you've located them one of these ways, you can click on the individual name that comes up here. It will bring up this little mini profile, and you can simply click follow. If you want to know more about them, click on their name here and it will open up their full profile. And probably the biggest question I get is, how do I find people to follow? How do I follow the right people? Just by a show of hands, can you pop your hands up if that's a concern for you? If you're worried about, I just don't know where to start or where to get people to follow. Okay, that's a really common one. There's a lot of hands going up. You're not alone, guys. You're really not alone with that. So I would suggest thinking about some key influencers in your market. Who are the people that are already doing a really good job in Twitter? And if you don't know where to start with Business QLD.gov, with the Creative Collective and myself. We may not be the perfect influence for you, but it will give you an idea and we could link you through. We have a huge footprint on Twitter especially. I'd be encouraging you all to utilize that to your best advantage as well. Let me just pop those hands down. The other way too is there's lots of other search engines to be using. Find Twitter followers. I've mentioned already trusty old Google, so business webinars, Queensland Government, but on Twitter is the gold here, the on Twitter. The other one too is you can put a Twitter name or topic anywhere on Twitter. You could be looking at your product, your services, your geographic area on Twitter as well. There's a site here called tweet.grader.com, tweetgrader.com, and what this does, it looks like this one down here. It's by HubSpot. You can enter in any Twitter name, so you need to know the username first. You need to have gone to Google or found them on Twitter, and you can enter in their username and find out how well they're doing on Twitter. But if you, even more powerful, scroll down the bottom here, and you'll see that it will show the Twitter elite in the same region as these guys. See here, it has Twitter Elite Sunshine Coast. You can click on here and it'll bring up all the people in the geographic region. The other way to do it is through categories on a site called Twello, which is like a yellow pages for Twitter as well. How cool is that? I love those two sites. You'll find plenty. Now, once you do, then you can be looking at related followers. This is the gold in Twitter. So I found, let's say, Creative Collective. I went and followed them by the method we just showed you. In their tweets, I also found here who to follow, and it's given me some suggestions of related followers. It brought up business.qld.gov.au, which is businessqld.gov, their Twitter username. And when I went across and followed them, as I started showing you, I'll see that they have following and followers. Here's the gold in Twitter. You can legitimately lift your greatest competitors or people that are already doing a fantastic job in your niche, or even those that aren't your competitors but have exactly the same target market, because you can see not only who are they choosing to be following on Twitter, but who is choosing to be their followers. And if you click on their followers, it will bring up this list in their account. So click on their full profile down to followers, and it will show you all of their followers, and you can simply go down the page and click follow, 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 follow. You may want to click on some of these profile names and see if they're appropriate for you and start following those ones as well. Now, how many of these people you follow? Do you just follow them all? Well, it's up to you. For me, Twitter is a branding exercise. I am looking at large numbers, so I'm going more to get to a mass market. I'm not too precious about who I follow. I won't follow people that are obviously spam or porn. I generally don't follow people that haven't changed at least their profile picture. That to me says spammy. I'm very hesitant to follow anyone with numbers. So Mike B26, there'll be a Mike B27 and a Mike B28. And if I'm not sure, I will actually click on their profile name and have a look. But you can create a great circle from this one as well. They said, great question from Michelle, do you recommend following competitors? I do, absolutely. I love seeing what my competitors are doing. And it's one way where I can see what they're up to, are there opportunities, and I also, if they have potentially the same target market for me, then not only do I start following them, but I'll click on their followers and go and have a look at them. It's not like I'm going to drag their clientele over to my office by simply connecting with them on Twitter, but I am sticking up my hand and saying potentially if their followers are interested in what company A is tweeting about and they're a competitor for me, then they may well be interested in what I'm tweeting about. Now remember that I can start following these people. It is completely up to the other Twitter user if they become your follower, if they follow you back. Okay, so this is the way you start following people. The way you get followers is to give them a reason, is to provide them with great content. If you just go and start following thousands of people and spam them with marketing and advertising messages, no one is going to become your follower other than maybe automated robots. May King said she's learnt a lot from her inverted commas competitors. I agree, May King. Some of my key influencers and also other joint venture partners and people I'm going to events on, I look how other people are using Twitter all the time and I learn a lot. Their marketing strategies can be interesting to learn from as well. And that's one of the strengths of Twitter. It's like having a little black book opened up in front of you. Does this mean that other people can do this to your business? Yes, it does. So I wouldn't be carrying on important conversations on Twitter. It's not the platform for that. It's for buzz and branding and connecting. You can have direct messages off to the side, but I always then take that conversation back into my regular marketing funnel. So over to email, a phone call, or a face-to-face meeting, not having it in the open stream. I'm not going to discuss a client's project or resources in the open stream on Twitter. Can you remove someone who's following you? You can certainly block people. Yes, you can. If you choose to follow people, do they have to accept you before you can see their tweets, or can anyone and everyone see your tweets even if you aren't their follower? No, you choose to start following them and you'll automatically see their tweets unless they have protected their tweets. So you can actually protect your tweets and lock them up and only approve users. If you're using for business purposes, I don't suggest you do that. because you've broken it, you've now made it a one-way conversation, and it's the greatest challenge to actually getting that follower base. Twitter is all about virality. You want messages to go viral. You want people to retweet. You want followers. You want to open it up. What I suggest instead you do is control the content of those tweets. Don't be giving away anything that you wouldn't want your competitors to know, for instance. That's a great way. What about if your account has been hacked? If the account's been hacked, I suggest two things. You can change your passwords immediately and look at any of the computers that you've accessed it on, particularly mobile devices. This does happen from time to time in all of the social media sites. If you're getting messages sent out from your account, then you may even look at closing the account and starting a new one. But for most people, if you change your password immediately and remove whatever virus from the computer or platform you were tweeting from, and you should be all set and ready to go. For any of you that are receiving direct messages, remember those private messages I talked about that look strange. I've seen this blog post about you. They're laughing about you here. I can't believe this photo was you. Have you seen the horrible things that be sent with you? And a link, and you don't know the person, you've got no idea, ignore it. Do not click on the link, because the minute you do, that spam will be sent to all of your followers as well. So it's important, if it, like anything, caveat buyer beware. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. Don't be clicking on links from people you don't know, you aren't expecting in direct messages. Can you retract, delete a mistweet, Kiralee? You can. You can actually delete it if it's gone. The difficulty with that is if the search engines have cached in the meantime, it's still in the cache. It's there for good. So I say to people, be very, very careful with what you're doing in the tweets. You can delete anything that you've posted, but not anything that other people have tweeted to you, at you, or about you. Yeah, so if you get a direct message from somebody you know and it still looks a little bit iffish making, I'd be sending them a message, not clicking on the link in the direct message, sending them a message back saying, did you send this to me? And even more so, let them know. If it's someone you know and there's weird spammy messages coming from them, let them know that you think their account's been hacked. Let them know as quickly as possible. In the last 3 years, nearly 4 years on Twitter, this has actually happened to me once. And it was my audience that let me know it was happening. Yep. Okay, we'll go on to posting messages. We'll move forward into that as well. If you've got all these followers, I suggest that the following cycle, manually be going and adding about 20 to 50 people a day. Wait for the people to follow you back. And if people aren't following you back, maybe they weren't the right target audience for you. I view Twitter as a two-way conversation, so I don't want to just be blasting my message out. I want people listening as well. I don't just want to get everybody else's messages. For me personally, I follow back everybody that follows me. The reason for that, I think if they're willing to read my messages, I'll be polite enough to read theirs. If they start spamming me, I block them. I unfollow them, and I can even block them and take the step further. The reason that you need to keep your follower-following ratios fairly consistent is Twitter will let you start following up to 2,000 people, and then they impose a ratio of 10% between how many followers you have and how many people you can start following. So this way you can't get onto Twitter and sort of follow 100,000 people and hope that a percentage will follow you back. So the first 2,000 you can go fairly freely on, but then there's a 10% ratio. So if you have 2,000 followers, you can only be following 2,200. If you have 4,000 followers, you can only be following a maximum of 4,400. So you need to make sure that you're not just mass following and then mass unfollowing to achieve this, because what you'll find is called churn and burn, and Twitter will shut down your account for doing that. I don't recommend automated tools for that reason, because it's too easy to have your account shut down, and you'll also find that your followers aren't even targeted. If you're not at least not doing a little bit of research and finding out are these people likely to be interested in your message, then they're likely to be of little or no value to every now and then. Can you delete tweets from other people on your own page? On your wall? No, you can't. No, you can't. But they're not seen on your profile or on your newsfeed to your other followers. They're only seen by you. And also participating in Follow Friday is a great way to speed up your follower list. Okay, how to post. I've had a few questions coming through on how to post. The simplest way is to actually post from the home page in Twitter, sign into your Twitter account, and you can put a post in. So I encourage all of you that have Twitter accounts to log in right now and do this, whatever way you normally do it. And I've given you an example message here which is thanks. I've used TKS because Twitter does use texting type slang terminology because it uses less characters. I've done thanks at businessqldgov. So that's, remember, that's the at mention. So I'm talking to Business Queensland Government. So thanks Business QLDGOV for hashtag QLDBiz webinar on Twitter for Business. Loved it. Now you don't have to say exactly that, but something in, but if you could use that at, no space, Business QLDGOV and the hashtag QLDBIZ webinar, it will be seen in that link by everybody else that are using the hashtags as well. You'll get a response back, but not only that, it will allow me to go in and retweet some of your posts and put them across on the Creative Collectives account, and let's get you some massive exposure from your Twitter campaign. Now, who'd like their tweet retweeted on a Twitter account that has 50,000 followers? Okay, so you put something of value there and thank me for the webinar today, and I'm going to retweet that for you if I find them. I'm going to be inundated, aren't I? But why not? Let's do that. Let's get you some maximum exposure for participating and trying to move your business forward with Twitter. The other way is you can use third-party application tools. Sorry, the hashtag name. The hashtag is hashtag QLDBIZ. Hashtag QLDBIZ, and it means talking about a specific topic, niche or event. So we're talking about the QLD Biz webinars in this case. Okay, thanks for that one, Lena. Fred, yes please, you want the retweet, okay. The other way is to post from third-party applications and tools, and I'm going to share with you in a few moments my favorite application and tool. There's a lot of mobile phone apps. I'll be honest with you, I rarely use twitter.com itself. The Twitter mobile application is fairly good. It's not too bad. It's a whole lot better than it used to be, but I use a third-party app for doing mine. Remember, there's a limit of 140 characters. Get used to using some of the terminology. It's been shown to its optimum to actually leave your tweet around the 120 to 130 characters. Don't max out the whole 140. The reason for that, if you fill up the 140 and then somebody like me wants to retweet your post, it's going to put RT, your Twitter name, at the front of your message. And you don't want your message cut off down the other end. Get into conversations, use @replies and hashtags. And a little more advanced technique for those who've been using Twitter for a while, did you realize if you put the @username at the front of your message, it's only seen by that individual Twitter profile. So if on this message, if I'd said @businessqldgov, it would have spoken just to businessqldgov and got onto their Twitter feed. If you put some words in the front here, then this message will be seen by all of their followers potentially as well. So unless you just want to get that person's attention and really speak directly to them, I recommend putting something in the front here and then the @mention and their Twitter username. There's a ninja tip for the more advanced people. Michelle said, do you have to know the hashtag address? No, the hashtag, you can search for the hashtag. It's normally in use. And you can, more advanced techniques when you're running events and things, you'll register the hashtag and give it to participants just like I've given it to you today. You can search on Twitter, even better, search on Google for what does the hashtag or what is the hashtag for this event. Okay, what to post and when? Now on Facebook I say one good quality post a day. On Twitter you can get away with a whole lot more, but be careful that they're spread evenly throughout the day. Most people I see tweeting about, for business use, about 1 to 10 tweets a day, spread across the day when your audience is most likely to be online. Keep them, make sure they're not just all self-promotional or marketing or advertising though. I use the 30-30-30-10 rule. Anyone that's done any training with me before, generally 30% is self-promotion, 30% is on promoting others, 30% is in valuable content, so just providing value on information that's targeted to your perfect clientele though, that's relevant. So I post a lot of information on Twitter changes, how to maximize your Twitter users. I'm posting a lot of information even on Twitter at the moment about the new changes happening on Facebook or how to maximize social media for your business. And it's not all about you'll find the answer here and come and buy the course from me or come and do my training. It's about this will help you to utilize my product or service more effectively and efficiently in your business. And you become seen as an information source. You don't want to go so far the other way that all you do is become an information source and you never actually promote your business. So I would highly be encouraging people to ask questions, respond to your app mentions, be promoting events you're attending so people can see who you're networking with as well, promote others, your content. What's some suggestions? You guys type in there things you're suggesting that you could add in your content for the existing users. What are you already tweeting about? What's been really powerful for you? They're using it already. Someone's saying there they've connected. Yes, the Twitter profile at QPS Media, QPS MEDIA. Some people are saying they're using that a lot, promoting it because it's helping people with what's happening with the floods, what's happening on the roads, and that can actually lead you to some other people in your industry or in similar area. That one's been good. Breaking news and comment. Changes in industry legislation. That's an interesting one, Sue and Kelly. So you're really letting people know when things change, which I guess is like in my industry, letting people know about changes on Facebook and social media. Video releases. I love video releases, Fred. In a couple of weeks, I'm actually doing video marketing and optimization, and my goal on video marketing is to put your video up on YouTube, but then come across to your other social media accounts and promote the link that way, embed it in your blog and then promote the link. My primary traffic driver for videos on my blog and on YouTube is Twitter. It gives me far more referrals than Facebook. But what I do find is that Twitter, I can then promote my video that's over on my Facebook page. And a little bit of gold for all of you in terms of promotion is that when I'm linking for my social media, I can spend out a lot more tweets than I can Facebook posts without appearing spammy. So it allows me to provide a lot more content and also to be posting the same content but at different times of the day or different times of the week, engaging when my audience is on. I have clients in 7 different countries. I deal in multiple time zones. So I can actually post a link to a video on my blog, maybe now at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. in the morning for my Australian audience, but then do it at 4 a.m. in the morning to be hitting the ideal time for my audience over in America. Okay, so how do I know all of that? Has Kony, I'm asked here by Lauren, has Kony 2012 been as big on Twitter as it has been on Facebook? Actually, it's been huge on Twitter, and it was interestingly launched on Twitter first, Lauren. So it actually got tweets sent out. I think Oprah, Ryan Seacrest, a few other the big names tweeted it and sent a link to the Facebook page. So anyone that hasn't heard about Kony 2012, go and do a Google search on it after this. It's a worldwide phenomenon on the power of social media. And I want you to look at it as a business owner and think, how could I do the same thing? How could I utilize it in a similar way? You know what they did? They got some key influencers on their market. They got them to spread a very intentional message through Twitter accounts that have massive followings, and they linked that back to their Facebook page where they gave their promotional message, where they delivered the video, and then they linked from there to YouTube. So Kony 2012 is the perfect example of how to maximize social media, but instead be putting your marketing message, your promotion, your services in rather than the Kony message. And it is I'm going to use it as a case study from here forward because it's the ideal way to use social media to promote your business. And while it doesn't have to be as emotive as Kony 2012 is, and people don't need to have a stronger reaction, it does need to have an edge to it so people sit up and take notice. Lauren just said, I just mentioned that a lot of big celebs tweeted Kony 12. Should you be following a lot of celebs? My business intent says to me that the celebrities aren't a key influencer in my market, so I don't. Okay, I have some because I want to see what they're actually talking about. But, you know, we've heard a lot of people like Charlie Sheen winning and those sort of guys, Oprah, etc. If Oprah is a key influencer for you, yes, then by all means. If she's got the right target clientele, that could be something too for you. You know, I'm not really, Beyonce hasn't got my target clientele, the people that want to hear what Beyonce's saying. So there's no real reason for me to start following her accounts and having that clutter up my stream. Okay, Roger, you've had that hacking issue where it comes in. You need to change. Your password as quickly as possible, and go back in and actually write a tweet. Just write an open tweet from your account to say that it had been hacked. It's now being fixed. And do not, ask your audience, do not click on any links in DMs that they have been sent. They're not from you. And and ask them to actually put please retweet, please RT on the end of that, so they'll get it across to other messages. Oh, Kony 2012 making is Kony, Kony 2012. Kony, great example. I encourage you to watch the video too. It's quite, it's really quite moving, but it shows the power of social media, and it's happening right now. It all started with Twitter, and it is massive on Twitter. So look for the hashtag Kony2012, and there's also hashtag Invisible Children. That's the organisation that's setting up behind it. Okay, so let's look at some social media marketing tools before we move on to question time. We've had a heap going there in terms of how to post. Okay, my absolute favorite tool is a tool called Hootsuite, Hootsuite, hootsuite.com. If you go to hootsuite.com, you can sign up. You can have up to 5 social media accounts in here totally for free. And you're looking at one of my tweets here in the Hootsuite platform. Each of these tabs represents a different Twitter account, Facebook page, LinkedIn account. Not only can I put one message in here and choose to send it to different social media accounts, more importantly for me, I can schedule. So I can write a tweet right now and have it scheduled to go out at 7:30 p.m. this evening. A more advanced training that I do looked at Hootsuite Analytics. You can look at when your users are most likely online. You can look at when the type of posts that they're clicking on the most. You can get some wonderful stats from this as well. There's also a great follower management automation service called Social Oomph. I don't represent any of these companies. Social Oomph has some very basic free services, but the main reason people use them is for if you wanted to auto follow back. So if someone starts following you, you automatically follow them back. That's about the only automation tool I do use on some of my accounts. You can also vet that account purely because my numbers are so large. I don't want to spend all day, every day going in and following people back. But it is a paid service. It's only a few dollars a month, but it is a paid service. So have a look at those ones. Complete instructions on the website. They have instructional videos to set you up as well. Just by a show of hands, can someone tell me if they're using Hootsuite or any other tools that you're using to the existing users of Twitter? Hootsuite has an iPhone app as well. I love Hootsuite. I basically spend 15 minutes in the morning in Hootsuite, 15 minutes in the afternoon, and that's my social media marketing covered for the day. If I go into Facebook or into Twitter, it's to socialize. It's not to do my business marketing and my business. So there's only a couple of you using Hootsuite. Okay, so for the established Twitter users, we've probably got about 10 or 12. Wow. Go and look at hootsuite.com. Any of you using TweetDeck or Market Me Tweet or any of those others? Okay, they said I have Facebook feeding Twitter, which in turn feeds LinkedIn. Good or not? Should I be using Hootsuite? Vicky, I'd really recommend Hootsuite. Facebook to Twitter, like Facebook messages automatically going to Twitter is not so bad, but you've got to be mindful of the fact you can have a lot more characters in Facebook. So if your Facebook messages are over 140 characters long, what happens is only the first 130 or so characters go on the tweet, and then it has a link back to your Facebook post. So that link back to your Facebook post is actually really powerful. Never, ever, ever go the other way, guys. Don't have your Twitter feeding your Facebook page. We've just spent 5 minutes on the language of Twitter, and there's probably a number of you very confused. Can you imagine taking that sort of language and 10 or 20 tweets a day and throwing them on your Facebook page? It's just going to look like spam. So Facebook to Twitter, I don't mind. Twitter to Facebook, absolute no-no. LinkedIn, I wouldn't have anything automated going to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional business networking site, okay? So you need to be really selective about what tweets or posts or messages are going to your LinkedIn account. Now you can use some shortcut keys and selectively post to LinkedIn. My recommendation, Vicky, is get on Hootsuite. Get into Hootsuite and actually decide, no, this one, I just go over here and tick, yes, I've got LinkedIn. This one's appropriate for LinkedIn. JJ, you're asking, what's a good way to find and delete people who have not followed you back? There's one called Tweet Flitter. There's a great account, a super tool I'll share with you all, guys. It's not on the slide here. It's called, for the more advanced users, it's called Social Bro, SOCIALBRO, Social Bro. If you're brand new at Twitter, don't go and jumping on that one. It will confuse you, okay? But Social Bro is an absolutely awesome tool. Maddie, is there any cost to Hootsuite? Up to 5 social media accounts is totally free with the one user email address. If you want to put team members or anything like that in, it becomes a paid service. But no, you can get started for absolutely free. They have videos to get you started connecting your accounts, and it's a fabulous tool. I'm not making money from Hootsuite at all. It's a tool that I use and recommend. It completely revolutionized the way I run social media marketing for my business and has cut down my management time massively. I don't set up a client on social media anymore without building Hootsuite for them and teaching them how to use it. Okay, so let's look at what we've covered today in terms of promoting your Twitter profile. We've already covered quite a number of these, but I recommend you get your Twitter links on absolutely everything. Link it back to your website. Find us on Twitter. Be adding your posts. We've mentioned business cards, flyers. This one here is called a Wise Stamp signature. It's actually an app you can get if you want to put Twitter in your signature, a really super easy way. I'd also be encouraging you to link it with all of your other social media sites, and we've mentioned how to retweet things across to Facebook as well and connect them. Sue Ann's asked me, how do you connect individual staff members' Twitter accounts to the business account? You don't connect them as such, Sue Ann. It's another reason I actually like Hootsuite, because you can go in and approve that one Hootsuite account to keep a look on what each individual Twitter accounts are doing if you have their login details. If not, it needs to be covered in the bio in terms of what role they're taking with the organization. Are they representing the business or merely representing themselves on Twitter? That's a big part. You can have them all with a standardized name and using a standardized hashtag, and in Hootsuite you can set up search terms for every time your business name or that hashtag is mentioned. The other thing I'd recommend is for each and every one of you to be having Google Analytics. Yvette has mentioned that previously in her calls. I mentioned on Facebook as well. Google Analytics, and set up a search so you get a notification every time your name, your business name, your main product names are mentioned in the search engines as well. There's a few more questions coming through, so let's just follow up the summary and I'll get on to the rest of those questions for you. So for the newer people, make sure you're setting up your powerful profile, you're establishing your Twitter base, you're building your followers, but then most importantly, looking for those key influencers, your niche, and connecting to those people is only valuable if you have a way of creating quality content and developing a strategy for your Twitter posting so it's ongoing, consistent, persistent. Investigate some of those tools and applications that I've mentioned so that makes management of your Twitter easier. You can do it on the run. You can schedule it in advance, sit down on a Sunday evening. If you're going to schedule something to go out at a later date, make sure you don't pretend that it's live, okay? That can get you in a lot of trouble. Say, I'm sitting here doing this when really you're not doing it. And make sure you're adding your Twitter profile to all of your marketing activities, and not just saying find us on Twitter, but putting your Twitter username on that as well. Okay, so on to some of those questions that you had for me. We've already covered a lot, but I'm going to go for more. Is there anyone that would like to has audio, would like to ask me their question over the audio? Sometimes it's a lot easier to ask a question than to try and type it in a few words. Just pop your hand up for me if you've got a question you'd like me to bring you out on audio. I'm very happy to do that. Augustine, I've got you there. Can you hear me? Just see if we can bring you out. Augustine?
No, I didn't put my hand up.
Augustine Lee, you didn't put your hand up? Okay, the system's popped your hand up. Thank you for that. Fred Nolan, I've got your hand up there for a question. Did you want to ask me something? Are you there unmuted, Fred? Doesn't seem to be coming up. Oh,
Yeah, my question was, are there any good white papers out there on what you should say and what you shouldn't say?
Oh, great question, Fred. There's a number of white pages. The company I really recommend is called HubSpot, H-U-B-S-P-O-T. They have a fantastic guide on using Twitter for business, including Twitter etiquette and appropriate language to be using. You download it completely free of charge. I recommend HubSpot for a lot of their marketing methods. Their marketing collateral, rather. They have they offer a social media marketing tool. It's an enterprise level one, but their free training ebooks, white papers and downloads are invaluable. Be connecting with them on Twitter too, guys, at HubSpot, so HUBSPOT. Highly recommended those guys as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. Now I'm just going to pop all the hands down again. We had a few up. If you have got a question you'd like to speak to me, pop your hand back up again. Sue, I just seen your hand go up. Sue Jacobs, you got a question for me?
Yes, I have. I typed it in actually. I'd just like to know if my business is called Type Transcripts and my name's Sue Jacobs, then what should my account name be, my Twitter account?
Okay, so what's the primary intent with your Twitter account? What are you trying to achieve with it?
Well, to promote my business.
Okay, so you'll be trying to get your business name Type Transcripts in
Yes.
as the profile name. In the real name, do people generally come to you because it's Sue to do the transcripts?
No.
Oh, they okay, so keep it all
well,
business.
some do, some don't, yeah.
Yeah. If you're integral in your own brand, you might want to put Sue at Type Transcripts. It wouldn't quite fit. We only got 20 characters. But for most people, I'm saying it's easier for people to interact with an individual. You know, it's much nicer for me to say, hi, Sue, thanks for the great work that Type Transcripts did. But you can still put Sue in the bio information. So use Type Transcripts, put the real name as Type Transcripts, then in your little biography, it's like an about paragraph, say, hi, I'm Sue Jacobs from Type Transcripts. Me and my team look forward to servicing you for all your transcription needs. That sort of thing.
Right,
okay, so you can still work it in, and that way if you sell the business, you're able to change that bio without losing any of the collateral and the strength and the followers and everything on the Type Transcripts name.
Okay, all right,
Fantastic question, Sue. I've got a lot of people that were asking very similar ones, so I hope that covered a lot of those for you. A few you have to cover off a couple of questions. I have an old mobile phone. How do I tweet from somewhere via that, please? Cassie, it depends. Is it a smartphone? Can you access the internet? If you can access the internet, you can certainly just go to twitter.com on the phone or be looking for, I don't know what version of phone you have, variety, but most of the major smartphone providers now have applications for Twitter. And the tools do as well. So Hootsuite, you would have to download the app for your, your iPhone or your BlackBerry. They have an Android one as well. It's probably limited if you're looking at an older Nokia service. It may not be app compatible, but you can still get the internet. Then you can certainly be going to twitter.com. It's a little more cumbersome for you to do that, though. It goes into the mobile version. We're looking at, does Twitter have any pay-per-click advertising like Facebook? Oh, great question, Tamara. They have promoted links. You need to have a very large checkbook at the moment to access them. They're looking at rolling out a mainstream platform that will be very much on a pay-per-click model, but it'll actually be a pay-per-tweet model, so it's more like a pay-per-view, pay-per-impression type one. But at the moment, you need to be a verified account, have an account manager working with you to get in those promoted tweets. There's a few sort of grey hat services that tweet promotional messages from multiple accounts. I don't recommend you use any of them. I don't recommend you buy Twitter followers. It's the quickest way to get your account shut down, and all it will do is give you a warm, fuzzy feeling. Your numbers are larger, but there are people not interested in your product or service. Okay, a couple more questions here. We've got one here from Sarah Spencer. Are you there, Sarah? Can you hear me? Good question. Nothing there from Sarah? We haven't got you through? Okay. Sue, we've had yours. Victoria Nelson. Victoria, have you got a question for me? I just unmute you. It's like Victoria doesn't have a question. Okay, just a couple more here. We're going to sign off. Good white papers. How do I add Google Analytics to my Twitter and Facebook accounts? Google Analytics can go on your Facebook page. It can't go on your Twitter profile. But what I would be saying is, sorry, I should have said before, Google Alerts. Google Analytics is great on your Facebook page, but the service you want is Google Alerts. So it alerts you when your business name, your product name, your service name. I think I may have said analytics there before. My apologies for that. It's Google Alerts you're looking for in terms of alerting you to what's happening on Twitter mention, what's being mentioned in Google. How do you create a hashtag? So, and that's a more advanced tactic. You can certainly Google it. You don't need to register it. You can just set up your own hashtag. but what I recommend you do two things. Have a search for the hashtag you'd like to use. So put in hashtag what you'd like, what does it mean, and find out if somebody else is already using it. And then there's a number of places you can go and register a new hashtag so it becomes a convention that it's yours, although you can't actually own it. I recommend hashtag.org. ORG is a very good place to start, but Google how to or where do I register a hashtag. Okay, so let's follow up on those and some fantastic questions there. We've got problems with the sound again, just as I was about to finish up, of course. Comes back again as soon as I do that. We've got you back again. Sorry, we had a little hiccup in the sound there. Yeah, the problem is, Fred, it actually is a brand new headset. There seems to be something here interfering with it. We got sound back there? Back again? Yep, fantastic. Thanks for that. So we're just finishing up, and what I would like to do before you race off, I understand you're a business owner, you have time constraints. Looking at the next webinars, all happening at 12:30. I did mention video marketing. Be signing up for these. I'm very excited to say we have massively increased the capacity for these webinars. So if you tried to sign up before and couldn't get on, go back and the sign up links are all live at business.qld.gov.au. It's only they're under business webinars on the right hand side. You also have a list of resources. Help is available. You know, you don't have to be alone in business. This is an amazing resource, business.qld.gov.au. And of course, be connecting with Business Queensland Gov on Twitter and Facebook and maximising the potential for your business of the established foothold. Let the world know that you're a forward-thinking business owner and you're increasing your learning through these webinars and also the value you got out of them. Show us what you're putting into action on your own Twitter accounts, so we can help promote those for you as well. Lots of you off to tweet, and I think there's a link being sent to you right now for a survey. It's only 5 questions long. It won't take you very long to fill in, and it's part of our contract with DD to get your feedback. We're very happy to do this because it actually assists us to make sure our webinars are benefiting you the most. So if you take the time, do it right now and it's online. Jake's going to pop that up in the question box for you. There it is. You can click on the link, go straight in and do it. It's out of the way, so as a busy business owner, you don't have to worry about coming back and forgetting that. Thank you all for your time. Thank you all those guys who said you'll gladly do the survey. Pop in there and let us know what you thought of the webinar. Open and honest. It's anonymous. We want your feedback. Thank you for your time today. I look forward to seeing you all on Twitter.